con Golden Boy y todo. Él no es Golden Boy. Él no hace nada en Golden Boy.
There was a heated clash between the pair of partners regarding the most recent Golden Boy Promotions fight that led to an eventual split.
Porque él se está preocupando en tomar y andar en otras cosas y eso.
And now, Canelo Alavarez has tagged Oscar De La Hoya a betrayer after firing Bernard Hopkins.
No, he's an he tried to steal money for the fighters, and he maybe steal money from their fighters. I don't know.
Canelo Alavarez has decided to fire back at Oscar De La Hoya after Oscar has been on his case for a while.
I have proofs. He tried to steal my money from me.
With the recent split of Golden Boy partners, Bernard Hopkins and Oscar De La Hoya, Canelo Alavarez saw the best opportunity to get back at his former promoter for his recent trolls at him and his association with Turki Alalshikh.
Él no es Golden Boy. Las decisiones las toman otras personas. Cuando se fue Richard Schaefer de Golden Boy,
ahead of his fight against Edgar Berlanga on September 14th, Canelo Alavarez has been having interviews on different platforms, and in one of those, he was asked about the split of the Golden Boy promoters, and his response was one of nonchalance, resentment, and fury. But before now, remember that Oscar De La Hoya had trolled Canelo Alavarez for putting his fight on the same night as UFC 306, a fight night planned by Saudi Arabian boxing mogul Turki Alalshikh, the most recent enemy of Canelo Alavarez.
Fans, man, we got the fight. Berlanga versus Canelo, live September 14th in Las Vegas on pay-per-view.
Oscar De La Hoya recently fired shots at Canelo Alavarez on his Clapback Thursday, a weekly clip he uploads on social media platforms, where he trolls and fires retorts at boxers and promoters he's beefing with. He said, the September 14th fight has been made, Canelo Alavarez versus Edgar Berlanga, a fight that nobody asked for. Fans are starting to boycott Canelo Alavarez for continuing to duck you know who.
A fight that nobody asked for. Fans are now starting to boycott Canelo for continuing to duck you know who.
The accumulation of this with De La Hoya's previous offenses, including a video where he insulted Canelo for ducking Crawford, is why Canelo Alavarez has made his comeback. In the video, he said, Golden Boy will be no more in some years. Richard Schaefer helped but left after he was frustrated by how they run things. Bernard is better compared to Oscar, and you'll see fighters follow him soon. There's nothing golden about Oscar. He's a fraud boy.
no el de los peleadores.
Because you've said that there's no loyalty in Oscar De La Hoya.
No hay.
And it's even strange to think that Oscar De La Hoya also had some beef with Canelo's opponent on September 14th, proving Canelo's claims right about how much of a troublemaker Oscar is.
Lealtad. Nada. Ni siquiera conocen eso.
Oscar De La Hoya and Bernard Hopkins' split began after a Golden Boy fighter had one of the most controversial wins of the year on Saturday night, and it raised several questions among fans and professionals of the sport.
Both fighters, big heart, big win.
Shockingly, one of those who didn't find the win so convincing was Bernard Hopkins, who honored an interview after the fight and spoke doubtfully about Ortiz's win and his future.
This crowd is getting their dollars worth.
And this was the genesis of their feud. While Bernard Hopkins wasn't so pleased with the win, Oscar De La Hoya was so overconfident that he blasted the boxing knowledge of those who questioned the win. This clash of opinions wasn't really brought up in the first few hours after the fight until Oscar De La Hoya learnt of Bernard Hopkins' interview. While Bernard Hopkins sounded quite doubtful, Oscar De La Hoya isn't holding back.
It was a close fight. Virgil attacked the entire night.
The legendary promoter took to social media in a fiery defense of his fighter, Virgil Ortiz Jr., following the young boxer's controversial victory over WBC interim junior middleweight champion Serhiy Bohachuk.
Bohachuk obviously deserves all the credit in the world.
The fight, which went down last Saturday night, has been the talk of the boxing world, and not in a good way. Fans are buzzing, and De La Hoya's social media rant only poured gasoline on the fire. The controversy centers on the CompuBox stats, which De La Hoya decided to post as a rebuttal to the criticism Virgil Jr. has been facing.
But Virgil won.
Why do you feel he won in your opinion?
But here's the kicker. The stats didn't do Ortiz any favors. According to the numbers, Bohachuk outperformed Ortiz, but the judges didn't see it that way, much to the dismay of fans who believe the Nevada judges were off their game that night. De La Hoya's response? A scorching post on X laced with frustration. You don't know about boxing. And the new Virgil Ortiz.
So I'm not fooled by what people might be saying.
This was in contrast to Bernard Hopkins, who after the fight said, "It is what it is. You sometimes get ugly wins that could be questioned. I think Crawford is a bit far. He's got to get rid of this ugly performance first." And when they met after Bernard Hopkins' interview, Oscar De La Hoya questioned why he would ever talk down to their fighter or support his opponent. And while he said that, Bernard Hopkins slammed him for choosing to lie and go against what's clear for all to see.
See Virgil based on this Saturday, how he looks, how he executes, and how he wins.
This was the straw that broke Oscar De La Hoya's back, as the argument led to a rash decision to make Bernard Hopkins leave Golden Boy. Speaking of Canelo Alvarez and Turki Alalshikh, Oscar De La Hoya's close associate, the duo started a beef after he revealed he is no longer pursuing a fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo. Recent discussions surrounding a potential fight against Crawford, proposed by Turki Alalshikh, have created a media frenzy.
This position because of any. I'm in this position if he wants to work with me.
Speaking on the matter, Alvarez said, "I'm not asking for that fight. I think Teofimo Lopez deserves it more than me." My response to Turkey is this. Yesterday, they texted me to talk about the Crawford fight in February, and I said, "I'm not going to talk about any other fight. I'm focused 100% on this Edgar Berlanga fight. I respect Turkey, but if he wants to work with me, it needs to be my way."
It's in my way, not in their way. I don't need it.
What didn't you like about how he approached? Like,
It's not the way to approach.
Following Canelo Alvarez's comment, Turki Alalshikh angrily stated that he was no longer interested in pursuing the fight between Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Alalshikh then decided to shift gears, announcing his disinterest in pursuing the bout. Instead, he will focus on building Crawford's profile in the US market and promoting other top fighters like Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and Gervonta Davis.
It's not the way to approach to me. Look, I respect everybody and I respect Turkey.
On the other hand, Saul Canelo Alvarez doesn't like to discuss future plans when he has a fight on his immediate schedule. And he emphasized how that point applies even when pressed by boxing's newest big power broker, Turki Alalshikh.
But look, if he wants to work with me, it need to be in my way.
Alvarez said he was contacted by Alalshikh on Monday about the possibility of taking a February fight in Saudi Arabia against newly crowned junior middleweight and 4-division champion Terence Crawford. "They called me yesterday," Alvarez told PPV.com in a Tuesday interview before his news conference with SEPTA 14 super middleweight opponent Edgar Berlanga at the Beverly Hills Hotel.
it was easy money, or why? What did you see there, Canelo?
Look, I don't want to talk. Crawford is a great fighter.
They wanted to meet with me and see about the fight with Crawford in February. I said, "Look, I'm not interested in talking about another fight. After Sept 14, we can talk, but not right now." Alalshikh then announced on X late Monday night that "just wrapped up an important meeting now with my team, planning for the upcoming fights that we will make for 2024 to 2025. I decided to disregard the Canelo fight, as I don't want it anymore. Instead, I will be focusing on the US market with bigger fights, especially for the legendary Crawford." While Alvarez claimed he doesn't really care whether the fight gets made or not, Turki Alalshikh accused him of pursuing only easy bouts, something that was too enticing for Oscar to not jump into. In his clip, Oscar also said, "This one actually may be my favorite so far. So, it turns out that I am not the only one that thinks that Canelo is an arrogant piece of stuff." Referencing the collapse of the offer between Crawford and Canelo, Oscar added, "He's outpriced himself so much that the Saudis don't even want to deal with him, and it's all because he will do anything not to fight David Benavidez."
Oscar gotta shut his mouth, man. This is the best in the business. People don't understand, like, Eddie came from the UK.
But Oscar and Canelo haven't had it funny this year, as it's the closest they've ever come to a brawl, with Canelo later claiming he would punch Oscar in the face if he has the chance. During the final press conference of Canelo Alvarez versus Jaime Munguia fight, it instead became Oscar De La Hoya, Munguia's co-promoter and the former promoter of Alvarez, who drew Alvarez's attention in what became increasingly heated scenes.
Fulfill his dream and be world champion.
Tienen que escribirle lo que tiene que decir este pinche maricón, cabrón. Tú lo escribes. ¿Qué lo escribes, pendejo? Tú no escribes nada, cabrón. Tú no haces nada. O sea, tú no haces nada.
Tom Brown, the co-promoter of the fight, stood between them when the 33-year-old Alavarez moved to confront De La Hoya. Undisputed super middleweight champion Canelo Alvarez gave his challenger Jaime Munguia nothing but respect in the lead-up to their May 4th clash. But there was plenty of vitriol between the Mexican superstar and his former promoter Oscar De La Hoya at the final pre-bout press conference.
Has always had one name, and it's mine. So put some respect on it.
De La Hoya, who accused Alvarez of attempting to get him banned from promotional events, severely altered the Fight Week narrative at Wednesday's press conference by unleashing a pre-written rant aimed at his former fighter. Things got so heated on the dais that the normally mild-mannered Alvarez needed to be held back by security from attacking De La Hoya after the two aired out the dirty laundry between them. Canelo spent most of his professional career under the Golden Boy Promotions banner, transitioning from a bright young prospect to boxing's biggest attraction.
I'll make it a little bit easier for him. Yes, I have faced a lot of challenges in my life.
But after becoming a multi-weight world champion, Canelo parted ways with De La Hoya's company in 2020 and aligned himself with both Matchroom Boxing and the PBC. It was a messy split, and the subsequent years have done nothing to quell the angst between fighter and former promoter.
Yes, I've been to rehab several times. Yes.
I have nothing but respect for Canelo Alvarez as a fighter. His record and abilities speak for themselves, De La Hoya told the assembled media in Las Vegas. But he has spent much of the last 2 months insulting me rather than promoting this fight. Yes, I've faced a lot of challenges in my life. Yes, I've been to rehab several times. And yes, there were times when work was not my priority based on my mental health, which I neglected for so long. But that doesn't change the fact that Golden Boy built Canelo Alvarez, period. The company you fought under for decades has always had one name and it's mine, so put some freaking respect on it.
There were times that work was not my priority based on my mental health, which I had neglected for so long.
Canelo does not take infringements lightly. When former opponent Caleb Plant got testy at a head-to-head in 2021, the Mexican star slapped Plant across the face.
As for Jaime, he has always dared to be great, just as he's this Saturday night.
Following De La Hoya's verbal attack, Canelo was openly furious. "Don't you talk to me like that," the champion said. "Don't you freaking talk to me like that." Canelo continued to hurl insults in Spanish. And as De La Hoya continued, Canelo, seated to his right, began to speak off-mic toward him in Spanish. Oscar then brought up the time in 2018 when Munguia, then an unknown, tried to step in to replace Canelo against Gennady Golovkin following Alvarez failing 2 PED tests.
And this serves as a bit of a full circle for him. Remember when Jaime was 21 years old, volunteered to step in against Triple G?
Canelo then stood and approached De La Hoya, continuing to speak. Canelo countered by accusing De La Hoya of stealing money from his fighters, and the language continued to worsen. "He tried to steal money, and he's a freaking idiot," Canelo raged. "He tried to keep the attention for him, not for Munguia. Freaking puppy. Fool." How did the Canelo De La Hoya beef start? The first sign of a break in the relationship between the American and the Mexican came in 2019 after Canelo beat Danny Jacobs, with Dazn expecting an immediate trilogy fight against Gennady Golovkin.
All you say is him, that, oh, he stole from me. Well, obviously, aside from defaming...
There was open disdain between De La Hoya and Canelo immediately after the Mexican's 2019 decision win over Danny Jacobs. It's understood that Dazn, via conversations with Golden Boy, expected a trilogy fight with Gennady Golovkin immediately after Jacobs' victory. However, Canelo did not do this and moved on to fight Sergey Kovalev instead. By doing so, this left Canelo angry with Golden Boy Promotions, who had told Dazn they had his signature for the GGG fight, whilst the Mexican himself denied it and refused as it wasn't a part of his contract.
You know, nice and there. You know, these are shots he wants to do another one.
Both Canelo and Dazn have issues with Golden Boy. Canelo is saying, "It sounds like you made a representation to Dazn that I was going to do things that are not in my contract with you, and I'm not required to do them," a source told ESPN at the time. Dazn, on the other hand, is saying to Golden Boy, "You had represented to us, you had secured Canelo's approval and agreement to do these things, and you didn't." Ultimately, this led to a very messy split in 2020, and there has been ill feeling ever since then. it got so bad that the notorious Conor McGregor had a suggestion for how Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo Alvarez could settle their differences, and of course, it involves the 51-year-old former champion stepping back in the ring, albeit under a different set of rules. I'd love these two to go at it in the bare-knuckle fighting championship. Take off the gloves and fight, fools! Asked about the drama between his promoter and opponent on Thursday, all Munguia could do was laugh.
Remember when Jaime was 21 years old, volunteered to step in against Triple G, and Canelo failed 2 drug tests? Though Jaime wasn't allowed to fulfill his 2018, on Saturday night, will do just.
Not my problem, Munguia told CBS Sports. I am chill and just very calm right now. Whatever happened between them, it's not my issue at all. I was laughing. Alvarez, however, retained a much more serious demeanor when asked whether De La Hoya's premeditated attempt at mental warfare has become a distraction at all. I do respect every person out there, but I always say that for every action, there is a reaction. I'm a fighter and things happen, Alvarez told CBS Sports. From Oscar, you can expect anything like that. He just throws stuff out of his mouth. He doesn't know anything about promoting the fighter or caring about their fighter.
Eres un pendejo, eso es lo que eres. Eres un baboso. Eres un pendejo, cabrón, porque están nomás ahí. Los que hacen todos son...
Golden Boy always leaves their fighters when they need him on the biggest stage. He leaves his fighters and he doesn't care about them. The attention is supposed to be for Munguia, but De La Hoya doesn't care. He just wants attention. But nothing surprises me about him.
Son los que están detrás de ti. Tú eres un pendejo nomás con la imagen, idiota.
Sí.
Cabrón.
Siéntate, güey.
All right, let's have everyone take a beat a little bit, and we will move on with our show.
Also, the notorious Conor McGregor had a suggestion for how Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo Alvarez could settle their differences. And of course, it involves the 51-year-old former champion stepping back in the ring, albeit under a different set of rules.
So much bitterness in him, and he's just a troubled man. You just see it in his face and all. He's just a fucked up one.
I'd love these two to go at it in the bare-knuckle fighting championship. Take off the gloves and fight, fools! Both Alvarez and Munguia were nothing but cordial and respectful of one another at every turn. It was only the relationship between Alvarez and his ex-promoter, Oscar De La Hoya of Golden Boy, who is the co-promoter of Munguia, that couldn't be any different, however.
He's a donkey. Fuck Oscar.
Are you surprised how critical he was of your matchup?
I don't give a fuck.
The fight itself might have been between Canelo Alvarez and Jaime Munguia, but that contest took a notable backstep at the pre-fight press conference as tensions almost spilled over when Oscar De La Hoya decided to trade insults with the boxing superstar.
That is a fighter who is ready. And it's why you're going to see Ryan come out as the new face of boxing on Saturday night. Thank you.
It was the first time Canelo and De La Hoya have worked together on the same promotion since their bitter split back in 2020, and it didn't take long before yet another war of words erupted on stage at the press conference. On June 10th, in a sensational video from Golden Boy, where he lashes out at the undisputed super middleweight champion, accusing him of defamation and talking nonsense, 51-year-old De La Hoya struck out online after Canelo appeared to aggravate him by suggesting he stole from him.
Canelo, I just saw another video where you're still talking shit. All you say is him, that.
Canelo, I've just seen a video where you're still talking stuff. All you say is, damn him, damn that. Oh, he stole from me? De La Hoya began, as per Boxing Kingdom on XCOM, formerly Twitter. Obviously, aside from defaming me, why don't you look inside your own circle, because I know from a fact that people are stealing from you.
Oh, he stole from me. Well, obviously, aside from defaming me, why don't you look inside your own circle? Because I know for a fact that people are stealing from you. By the way, you lined my pockets, you made Munguia a shit of money, all because you're afraid of David Benavidez. Fuck you.
By the way, you lined my pockets, and you're making me a whole load of money, all because you're afraid of David Benavidez. Damn you! De La Hoya ended the video, during which he was sat in a high-rise apartment building with the backdrop of Las Vegas behind him, by drinking some red wine and flipping off the camera, clearly intended for Canelo. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.